On today's video, I'm going to be comparing two top-tier marathon racing shoes. It's the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 with the adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3. Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Tim and this is Run Tall. I post running videos every single week, so if you're a running nerd like I am or you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be notified each time that I upload content. I did purchase both of these shoes with my own money. Retail, the Adios Pro 3 is the more expensive of the two options. It retails for $250 US, while the Endorphin Pro 3 comes in at $225 US. But with the upcoming drop of the new releases for both of these versions, if you're interested in either one, keep an eye out because you're likely to find some pretty decent sales. All right, so let's start with weight, because if you go by the stated weight that they have on their websites, Adidas has this shoe listed at 8.4 ounces for a US men's size 9, while the Saucony Endorphin Pro, that has a stated weight of 7.4 ounces. Neither of those weights came up on my scales. Now, they have both changed slightly from the first time that I weighed them before I ran in them. But I'm going to give you today's weight. Now, when I put these on my scales, the Adios Pro 3 came in at 7.6 ounces, and again, US men's size 9. And the Saucony Endorphin Pro, 7.6 ounces. When I changed the units to grams, the Saucony Endorphin Pro came in 1 gram lighter. That's it. So if weight is a consideration of yours and you're looking on the websites and you're trying to compare the two and it appears as though Adidas weighs a lot more, that's not my experience at all. On my scales, as of today, both of these shoes weigh exactly the same. Now, I do have 200 miles in the Adios Pro 3, so a lot of miles in them, a lot more than I have in the Endorphin Pro 3, which I just got a few days ago. So I will be running the miles up in them, but as of today, they're a much newer shoe than the Adios Pro 3. All right, let's talk about the uppers. Now, with the Adios Pro, this is a very plastic feel to them, and over time, they never did break in or loosen up. It still feels just as coarse and plastic-like as it was the day that I got them. I did have some comfort issues with them pretty much right from the start, and it has everything to do with the eyelet chain. Right up here, right at the start or the base of the eyelet chain is where I had some pain points when I was running in these. So much so that I ran in them 2 days in a row, and then it was painful enough that I had to set these aside, and I couldn't run in them for some time, and I didn't want to. So it took me a while before I learned how to run in them. And that was to run basically, just so that you know, in case you decide to pick up a pair for yourself or you're having this issue of pain points up here, is I had to run with these two laces loose. So I was able to snug them up but not cinch them down. And ever since that point, I've been able to run in them really comfortably. So it wasn't a love at first run. It was a much longer courtship for me with the Adios Pro 3. But I do love to run in them now. So there's something to be said for that. Now with the upper itself, plenty of room up here in the toe box to be able to splay my toes. It has very minimal padding, bumper style padding back here around in the heel collar. Never any issues back here. Always felt locked in and secure. That bumper padding, by the way, is a little bit coarse to the touch. So any close-up pictures that I might show you, if it looks like it has some material worn there, that's not the bumper padding. That would be sock material that just stuck to that. And I think that just helps to hold your heel in place. You have a nice heel cup back here for your heel to set in. Never had any slippage really from side to side or up or down. Very comfortable heel. Again, the only real comfort issues for me was up here in the forefoot of the shoe. I did order both of these shoes true to size for me, which again is a US men's size 9. One of the issues that I have had, besides the pain points, however, is with the tongue of this shoe. So let's take a closer look at that so I can explain what I mean there. And that it's not gusseted, it's very thin, but that isn't the real big issue. The big issue is every time I go to put the shoe on, I basically have to unlace it all the way down here to those first two laces, because this tongue just wants to bunch up and ride on top of one another, and that's not very comfortable. So it always takes me a few extra minutes to put these shoes on, because I have to tuck that tongue in and get it to lay flat. It just doesn't want to do it naturally. So that's just something to note. Other than that, the upper is pretty breathable. It's probably a little more breathable than the Endorphin Pro 3 version that I have, but I'll talk more about that here just in a second. Overall, once I learned to run on it, it was fine, but it did take a little while. So just know that going into it. With the Endorphin Pro 3, the whole completely different story. This upper is super comfortable. It's soft to the touch. It's got a bit more of a cloth feeling to it. Never had any issues with it right out of the box. I was able to run in back to back with no problems at all. No hot spots, no blisters, no nothing. It was just super comfortable right out of the box. So in this case, I can say it was love at first run. Lots of room up here to be able to splay my toes. Plenty for me. I didn't have any issues that way. Length was good. So again, US men's size 9, true to size. It has a more traditional padding around the heel collar and the tab, something that you would see in a more of a daily trainer rather than that bumper style padding that we see in the Adios Pro. So depending on what your preference is for the padding around the heel collar and tab. Didn't have any heel slippage here. Felt good on my Achilles. No blisters. Again, no friction points at all. And I love what they did with the tongue on this shoe. No issues at all. I can just slide my foot right in. No fuss or muss. It is a gusseted tongue, so it is held in place really well. Lays flat across my foot. Never felt the laces cutting across my feet at all. And I did use a runner's knot. I do use a runner's knot in running in both of these shoes, so that heel lock knot. Feels really great. Again, right out of the box. So kudos to Saucony for that, because they know how to make an upper. I'm really enjoying that. Let's talk about the midsole. With the Adios Pro 3, here they're using Light Strike Pro foam. They got pretty much the max amount that you can have. They have 39.5 millimeters in the heel. And then up in the forefoot, they have 33 millimeters. So it's a 6.5 mil offset from the heel to the toe. And then embedded within the foam are these carbon fiber rods. Now, I love the way those carbon fiber rods feel. Unlike the upper, which I didn't love right out of the box, I've always enjoyed the midsole ride of these. I think the first time that I reviewed them or talked about them, I just mentioned how buttery smooth they were to run in, and that has not changed. In fact, I think it's just gotten a little bit better over time. I liked how forgiving that those energy rods are. It's unlike a traditional plate. So I just feel like I move a little bit more naturally. It does have this cutout up here, so when you're towing off, it just feels really good. You get lots of spring off of those energy rods. It has a few other cutouts back here as well, where you can actually see those energy rods. I think that helps to reduce the weight some. It also has this cutout a little bit there in the heel. Again, helps to reduce the weight. Always enjoyed the ride of these. Very peppy, soft up here, and I typically mid to forefoot foot strike. More of a midfoot striker. I'm trying to move up to my forefoot a little bit more, and the more that I do, the faster I seem to go in these shoes, and they feel really comfortable. Absolutely love the midsole ride of these. Great at long distances for sure. I've put again a lot of miles in those. It was one of my favorite long day running shoes to train in. With the Saucony Endorphin Pro, they're using their Power Run PB based foam. And again, they have a lot of it. They have 39.5 millimeters in the heel. And then up in the forefoot, they have 31.5 millimeters. So a little bit less foam in the forefoot for you to land on. But they have an 8 millimeter offset if that's to your liking. And then embedded within the foam is an S-curved carbon fiber plate that features their speed roll technology, which feels really good. It's a bit more stiff as you move through your gait cycle, at least a little stiffer feel to me than what you get with the Adios Pro 3, but lots of pop. You get lots and lots of pop off your toe, so that feels really terrific. And that Power Run PB-based foam is soft to run in, much, much softer than the first two versions of the shoe that Saucony had released. I enjoyed running these right out of the box. Put a couple of longish runs in them. I think a 8-mile, 10-mile run, something along those lines. And I have no doubt that I'm going to be running the miles up in these really soon. The looks of the outsole material that they have there, which is their XT900 rubber, and all of the coverage that they have, it's not going to surprise me to get over 300 miles in this pair of shoes. They do have some cutouts back here as well, somewhat similar to what we see with the Adios Pro 3. You can see the cutouts are almost in the exact same places. They do have a little bit of a groove back here in the heel. One of the things that I think is worth noting, as I have these flipped over, and you can probably see this on film here now, is that the Adios Pro 3 is much wider up in the forefoot of the shoe. So if you like that, what I would say, a little bit more stable of a ride in the forefoot, you just like to have that bigger landing platform, then the Adios Pro 3 is probably going to be to your liking, a little bit more so than the Endorphin Pro 3. Now, the opposite is true in the heel. Now, for the Endorphin Pro 3, I feel like it has a bit wider heel base than what you have in the Adios Pro 3. So if you're a mid to forefoot foot striker, I think this might have a bit of an advantage because it feels really terrific to me. Both of these shoes I found to be really comfortable, especially up in the forefoot. I think that the Adios Pro 3 is a little bit softer to land on up in that forefoot. But you get a bit more of a pop in the Saucony Endorphin Pro. A bit of a trade-off there. You know, which one is going to be faster? More time or more testing on my part before I can really make that call. But they both feel really comfortable to run in, and I think they're both really good choices for running a marathon, depending on what your running style is and what you prefer. So if you're looking for a shoe, probably a safe bet that's going to be comfortable right out of the box, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I think is probably the shoe for you. If you're willing to take a chance on the upper, on this one maybe not being as comfortable, but for sure has a really comfortable midsole ride, then I think the Adios Pro 3 is a good choice. Again, it did take me a little while to learn to run in it. Now that I have, I absolutely love this shoe, and I look forward to running in it every single time. But this shoe, I look forward to running in from the very first time. It didn't take me a while to fall in love with the shoe. It was pretty much love at first run. Alright, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, right here on Run Tall.